Camera, action! Dulcinea, Dulcie for her friends, was frozen in place. She could see the producer talking, but her mind was on overdrive and nothing went in. Oh my God! How did I ever get into this situation? What have I let myself into? She thought. Adelpha's elbow on her side made her wake up. Come on, we have 45 minutes to create the killer cupcake to end all killer cupcakes. Well, if that's what we have to do, let's do it. 3 years ago. Dulcinea loved her name. She had always felt it suited her to a T, so much so that if she hadn't been called that, she was convinced she would have changed her name to Dulcinea. Okay, it wasn't the most typical name for an American girl, but her mother, Carmen, was Spanish, and she always thought that the imaginary ladylove of Don Quixote deserved a second chance and a bigger role than she'd ever been given. She also adored the fact that if it was shortened to Dulcie, its meaning was sweet in Spanish, and if there was something her mother had loved, was everything sweet. Carmen was the best amateur baker amongst all her friends' mothers, and she doubted that many professionals of baking and desserts could have competed with her. Her culinary skills got so popular, and so many people asked her to give them her recipes or teach them how to bake, that she ran a course on desserts and cooking at the local adult college until her death. It was only fair and fitting that even her daughter was Dulcie. What do you say, then? You've been fighting against fate long enough. How many careers and jobs have you tried? Adelpha, her best friend, had always been supportive of all her ideas, but was nothing if not opinionated. Let me count. The ways? Dulcie joked. Don't get Shakespearean on me. Elizabeth Browning, not Shakespeare. See what I was saying? I know how much you love books, but if you could do anything practical with it, maybe. But as it is. So back to what we were talking about before the literary interruption. Hairdressing. Adelpha counted 1 with her fingers. Now if this was a movie, it would show a montage of a few less than graceful and chic haircuts, a burnt perm to the point of a loss of clumps of hair, although Dulcie's crowning disaster had always been colouring. A full palette of unintentional bright oranges, greens, and even tricolour effects had come out of her hands and sealed her exit from hairdressing school, through the back door. Air stewardess. 2. The movie would now show Dulcie dropping the bags when trying to secure them in the overhead locker, pushing the trolley over somebody's foot, dropping hot coffee on another passenger's lap, and falling seated repeatedly on several passengers' laps. She'd never been any good wearing heels, and decided the continuous travelling didn't suit her either. At least she wasn't sick on anybody. Horticulture and ornamental gardening. 3. This could now get scary, especially if you're fond of flowers and vegetables. Having green fingers was something nobody could accuse Dulcie of. Other than rock gardens with no plants, nothing survived her attempts at gardening, and her garden designs looked like something out of El Bosco. Adelpha used to joke that she might be okay if she specialized in gardens for goths. Not that goths liked fresh air that much. Business studies. 4. Actually, the studies had been okay. Although Dulcie preferred fiction and literature, she didn't mind numbers or studying in general. So the theoretical part had been fine. Once it came to applying it to real-life situations, she was too soft and not enough of a risk-taker, didn't like cutthroat competition, and wasn't aggressive, so she never made it. Although she considered teaching it, the most engaging teachers were always those who had plenty of personal anecdotes to tell, and she wanted something more hands-on. Photography. 5. Now wouldn't you think that with digital cameras it is impossible to take a terrible picture? Well, if you knew Dulcie and saw her pictures, you'd know that's wrong. Bad lights, bad angles, body parts instead of the whole. Not even a proper top model would look good in her hands.